guys, how are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. In this tutorial you are going to learn how to make this beautiful kimono shirt. Okay, can you see how beautiful it is? It has a cut together hand with a band at the sleeve. Can you see, with a collar shirt, button down? Can you see how beautiful it is? So this is what you stand to gain if you watch the tutorial. We are going to learn how to make a shirt that has a cut together hand. Okay, so the measurements you'll be needing is your shoulder measurement, the sleeve extension, bust circumference, waist circumference, hip circumference, top length. You can see I divide my shoulder by 2, then the sleeve extension is 7, then the bust circumference you divide it by 4, you add 1 inch seam allowance and 1 inch ease allowance. Then the waist circumference you divide it by 4, you add 2 inch ease allowance and 1 inch seam allowance. Then the hip circumference you divide it by 4, you add 1 inch ease allowance and 1 inch seam and allowance. Then the top length I'm working with is 23 inches. You can add 1 inch ease allowance at the waist, but I just want it to be very free at the waist. That's why I added 2 inch ease allowance. Alright, let's get to the drafting. So the first thing I'm going to do is to mark 4 inches from the edge of my paper. Okay, so I'm mapping out 4 inches. So this 4 inches is actually for the shirt effect. Okay, so just follow what I'm doing. Map out 4 inches and draw a straight line. Okay, so our drafting is going to start from this 4 inches. So once you map out 4 inches, the next thing you are going to do is to come down from the edge of your paper by 1 inch. Okay, so just do exactly what I'm doing, you will get it. Okay, okay, so this line is going to serve as our shoulder line. So after that, you are going to mark half of your shoulder measurement. Mine is 7.5. Then you also mark your sleeve extension. The sleeve extension I'm working with is 7 inches. Okay, so after that, you mark your neckline. So the neck width and neck depth I'm working with is 3 inches. So I'm working with 3 inches width and 3 inches depth. So after that, I'm going to come to this point where our sleeve extension stops. I will come down by 1 inch. This will serve as the shoulder slant. So I'm going to connect it like so. So after that, I'm going to put in my armhole measurement. So the armhole measurement I'm working with is 9.5. Okay, so you simply get it by dividing your bust circumference by 6 plus 1.5, then plus extra 2 inches. Okay, this is for a cut together sleeve. Okay, so you divide your bust measurement by 6, add 1.5, then you add extra 2 inches. So my bust circumference is 36 divided by 6. I have 6 inches plus 1.5, I have 7.5, then plus extra 2 inches, I have 9.5. Okay, so I'm going to mark 9.5 all the way. I'm extending the line like so. So I'm going to connect it. So this will serve as my chest line. Okay, so I'm just going to mark whatever I have on the shoulder line. I have 14.5. I'm going to mark it here on the chest line. Okay, I mark 14.5. Then to connect the armhole, I'm just going to come in by ½ inch, and I'm going to connect it from this point to this point. I hope you understand. Okay, so after that, the next thing I'm going to mark is my waist line. Okay, the waistline I'm working with is 16 inches waist length, or you can call it front length, anyone. So 16 inches, then I'll connect it. Waistline. Then the next thing I'm going to mark is my hip line. I'm just going to mark the top length I'm working with, which is 23 inches. So that will automatically serve as my hip line. Okay, and I will connect it like so. So this is my hip line. So after that, the next thing I'm going to do, I'll come to the chest line. I will input my bust circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch seam allowance and 1 inch ease allowance. I have 11 inches. Then at the waistline, I will also put in what I have. I have 9.75, which is my waist circumference divided by 4 plus 2 inch ease allowance and 1 inch seam allowance. I have 9.75. and that is what I'm inputting. I'll also do the same thing at my hip line. Your hip circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch is allowance and 1 inch seam allowance. I have 11.75. I'll input it, then I'll connect it like so. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to come down by at least 2.5 inches, then I'll connect the armhole like so. So it does not necessarily have to be too deep, okay? Just connect it like that. So after that, the next thing I'm going to do is to connect my neck curve. I'm just going to connect it like so. Okay, so after that, we are going to draw in our shirt extension. So the next thing we are going to do is to draw in a shirt we have what we call the overlapping line, facing line, and the interfacing line. So I'm going to mark 0.75 inch downward for the overlapping line. Or you can probably just do 1 inch, okay? 1 inch for the overlapping line. Just mark 1 inch like so, and you connect it. So you label this overlapping line. Then the next line you are going to draw is the facing line. So you also map out 1 inch again, and you connect it. So you label it facing line. So the next line you are going to map out is the interfacing line. You also map out another 1 inch, okay? So this will serve as the interfacing line. So this is very simple, guys. So after that, just extend the neckline measurements like so. So once you extend this line and also extend this line here, the next thing you are going to do is to add 1/2 inch seam allowance from the neck, from this point all the way to the shoulder line and to here. So you don't have to add here, we've already added here. Then at the hemline, just add 1/2 inch folding allowance, okay? So I will do that and So for the back, all you have to do is to come down by 1 inch. That will serve as the shoulder line. Then you mark your neck. The neck width I'm using for the back is 3 inches. Then the neck depth I'm using for the back is 1 inch. Okay, I'm marking it and I will connect it like so. So the next thing I'm going to do is to mark the shoulder measurement, which is 7.5. Then from that point I'm marking my sleeve extension, which is 7 inches. Okay, so from that sleeve extension point I will come down by 1 inch also. Then I will connect it like so. So from this point I'm going to mark the armhole measurement. So I use 9.5 for the front. I've already explained how you get the 9.5, so I'm marking it like so. Then I will connect it. So once I connect it, it's going to serve as the chest line. Okay, so I'm going to bring down whatever I have on the shoulder line, just like I did for the front. I have 14.5. Then I'm marking 14.5 at the chest line. Then I'll come in by ½ inch. Then I'll connect it. That will serve as the armhole line. Okay, so after that I'm marking my waistline. So the waistline I'm working with is 16 inches. So from the shoulder line I'm marking 16 inches. So from the shoulder line I'm marking 16 inches. Then I'll connect it with my pattern master like so. So this will serve as the waistline. Then I'm going to mark my top length. That will serve as my hip line. Okay, so I'm also marking 23 inches for the top length. That will serve as my hip line. Okay, so at the chest line I'm inputting my just same measurements like I did for the front. So at the waistline I'm inputting same measurements I put at the front, 9.75. At the hip I'm putting 11.75. I'm practically putting the same measurements I put at the front. Okay, so I'll connect it. Then I'm going to come down by 2.5 inches. Then I will connect the armhole line like so. Okay, so for the neck curve I'm going to come in by 0.75. Then I'll connect the neck curve like so. And we are done, guys. So the next thing I'm going to do is to add ½ inch joining allowance at the neckline, shoulder line, armhole line. And here I've already added wide drafting. At the same line I've already added the same allowance. Then I'm going to add ½ inch at the hem line for folding. So I'll do that, cut it out, and I will be back to show you guys what next. So guys, I've used the pattern to cut out the material. So the back pattern is cut on fold. So this is 1 piece, and the front pattern I cut out 2 pieces. Okay, you can see it here. So before I remove these pattern pieces, I'm just going to notch these 3 lines, the center front line, so where the real neckline end, the overlapping line, and also the facing line. Okay, so these three points, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to notch it. I'm also going to come to the hem, and I will also notch these 3 points so that it will enable us know what and where we are folding. Okay, so I will do that, and I will remove this paper. So guys, you will notice that the hand, the sleeve extension is shortened. I shortened it because my material wasn't enough, so I fold in 1.5, but I'm going to use a band to complete it. Okay, yeah, so let me remove the pattern. So you can see the back is cut on fold and we have just one piece for the back. Okay, I'll put it aside, and the front is 2 pieces. Okay, so this is the right and this is the left. So at the right side, that is where the buttonhole is going to be, and at the left side, that is where the button is going to be. I hope you get that. So what we are going to do is to fold in the interfacing line to the facing line, and I will fold in the facing line to the overlapping line. So this is basically what I'm going to do on my fabric. I will fold it in like this, and I will fold it again like this. Okay, so once I fold it like this on my fabric, I will go and top stitch. Okay, so from that line that I notched, okay, the center front line that I notched, I will top stitch all the way down. Okay, so that is what I'm going to be doing for the place that will have the button. Okay, so for this other side that will have the buttonhole, same way I fold this side that will have the button, I will fold it the same way, and I will also go and top stitch down, okay, from the center front line. So I'm just going to fold it just like I showed you. You see the reason why we place this notch. Okay, I'll fold it like this, and I'll fold it again. Okay, so the folding is stopping at the center front line where I notched. So I'm going to pin it down, then I will go and top stitch down. I will do the same thing at the other side, and I will be back to show you guys what's next. So guys, I have fold it and I've gone to stitch it. You can see how it looks. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to join it at the side. Okay, so I will place the center back, then I'm going to join them at the side. Okay, so I'm going to join it at the shoulder by 1/2 inch. Then I'll also join it at the side by 1 inch. Okay, so but before I join it by the side, after joining it at the shoulder by 1/2 inch, I'm going to cut the band. If you watch my tutorial on how to make a sheep dress, it explained everything about cutting out band and joining the band. Okay, so you should go and watch it if you don't have any idea about that. So I'm going to join the shoulder, join the band, and I will join it at the side. Then I will be back to show you guys how to fix in the collar, the shirt collar. So guys, I have joined the band and I've also joined it by the side, just like I told you guys. So the next thing I'm going to do is to join the shirt collar. So I did the tutorial for the shirt collar differently, so if you've not checked it out, you should go and check it out so that you understand how we come about the shirt collar. All right, so this is how we are going to fix this shirt collar. Okay, so the side you ironed your hemming, your collar stay, just locate the center of this collar, and you also locate the center of the neckline. Okay, so what you are going to do is to mash up these two centers together, mash it up, then you are going to pin it. Okay, so you can see our shirt collar matched well. That is because we measured it very well. Okay, so after pinning it like this, you are going to go to your sewing machine and sew it down. So guys, I've joined it just like I showed you guys. So I'm just going to cover it like this. So I'm going to cover it like this with the other part. I'll cover it, pin it down, and I'll go to my sewing machine and sew it down. So this is how to neatly finish your neckline. So this is how to neatly join a collar neckline. Okay, so I'll sew it down and I'll be back to show you guys how it looks like. So guys, I've finished it up and this is how beautiful and neat it's looking. So we have our shirt here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to hem the down, and I'll also put the button and create the holes, and we are done. So guys, if you have any question, kindly drop it on the comment section. I will attend to that. Thank you very much for watching till the end. If you've not subscribed to my channel, please kindly do so. It will really mean a lot to me. Alright guys, thank you. Bye.